Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1465, and today's date is July 7th, 2018, and the title of the episode is He Who Controls the Creation of Currency Controls the World. Now, before I get started, I just want to make an announcement. I uploaded 2 interviews. The first one is Lynette Zhang. I uploaded that on Saturday, and on Sunday, I uploaded Tim Warman. All you need to do is go over to YouTube, type in X22 Report Spotlight. It will bring you to both of those videos. Or you can go to the x22report.com site or newsentinel.com site. Scroll down a little bit, look over to your right-hand side. You'll see the videos on the site. You can play the interviews right on the website. Or you can go to Steemit. That is steemit.com/@X22Report. And you can play both of those interviews right on Steemit. Let's get right into the economic collapse news. Now, at this point, we realize that the central banks, those who create currency, their main objective is to control the creation of currency. And that's why I put in the title, He Who Controls the Creation of Currency Controls the World. Because let's just think about this for a second. If you can create currency, loan it out to any government in the world, put them into debt, put the people into debt, who is the master? Everyone reports to the central bank. Everyone has to do what the central bank wants. The central bank can force people into doing anything because you are in debt. And they hold this over you. They make the people suffer by using austerity, forcing the government to place austerity measures, to cut back, to make it difficult, because their system really doesn't work. Because as you place more and more debt on society, the debt can't be repaid. It can't be sustained. And what they're most nervous of is a currency that is created outside of them. That would be gold and silver. That would be cryptocurrency. And if they see anyone trying to use this and trying to override their system, they lash out. Now, do they come out and say, oh, we're going to get you? No. What they do is they force governments to create laws. What they do is they try to control that currency. They've done this with gold and silver, where they use paper contracts to manipulate gold and silver, where they suppress the price. So when people look at this, they say, ooh, it's better to hold the dollar than it is to hold gold and silver, because you look, gold and silver and other precious metals, they keep going down. The same thing is happening with the cryptocurrency market. But right now, they don't have full control. What they're trying to do is they're trying to show that cryptocurrencies are very volatile. Because what central banks like to do is they like to make everyone feel good, make everyone think that whatever is happening is all natural, and then they make that system completely implode on itself. And then they go to governments and they say, listen, look what happened here. We're not in control. We need some laws passed here. This is really unsafe for the public. And we need to control what is happening. And I see this happening with the crypto market right now, because what we're seeing is that they created a futures market. And now it looks like the New York Stock Exchange files for leverage, inverse Bitcoin ETFs. And again, what they're trying to do is they're trying to control this. Now, the New York Stock Exchange has asked the SEC to approve 5 ETFs, including 2 times leveraged and inverse flavors, linked to Bitcoin futures, which was launched in December. And there'll be 5 derivative funds. Now, the target Bitcoin benchmark will be calculated as the last sale price published by the CME or CBOE on or before 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and should not be expected to track the performance of the target benchmark for any period longer than 1 business day. Now, of course, as the filing explicitly warns, the funds are not intended for long-term investing, which means everyone needs to hang on to their hats, because Bitcoin right now, how it's so volatile, moving up and down, it's going to become even more volatile. And this is exactly what they want. Now, very interestingly, out in Europe, people were using Bitcoin debit cards. And basically, they put cryptocurrencies on the debit cards and they go out and they use them to pay for things. And it looks like the Bitcoin debit cards, they stopped working after a decision from the payment processor. And this happened on Friday. Now, several of the most popular Bitcoin debit cards, which are basically prepaid cards topped up with cryptocurrency, they stopped working in Europe after Visa Europe terminated services for Wavecrest, a prepaid card issuer. Now, the prepaid cards are an important way for people to use Bitcoin to pay for things. Even if the retailer doesn't accept cryptocurrency, they put the cryptocurrency on the prepaid and they're able to use this to pay for whatever they're purchasing. Now, after Visa's Europe decision regarding Wavecrest on Friday, Bitcoin debit card companies Bitwala, BitPay, CryptoPay, and others announced on Twitter that cards in Europe would stop working effective immediately, and the customer funds will be returned. Now, it's really unclear at this time why Visa terminated Wavecrest services. Now, one of the reasons they're saying is that they weren't in compliance with membership regulations, and I think what they're doing right now is they're shutting this down so nobody uses cryptocurrencies to pay for anything, and it looks like this was a way around paying for things, not using the central bank system. And it looks like they don't like this. Now, again, we understand the central bank system. The name of the game is control. Remember, China is still part of that central bank system. The central bank is looking to move everything from the west to the east. And we see already that there's a petro yuan, which is going live in January. It looks like the RMB is going to be pushed for cross-border trade or cross-border use because the People's Bank of China said that it encouraged cross-border and overseas use of the renminbi, the RMB, to settle accounts and boost investment. And they're pushing this because they understand they need to allow foreign investors to use this. And what we're seeing right now is that coming out of the international payment infrastructure company SWIFT, it reported that the RMB surpassed the Swiss franc and the Canadian dollar as the sixth most used currency in November. And I believe that the RMB is going to move even further up the chain here because their whole plan is to get the world to use this, countries I should say. I think on a lower level, the central banks are going to use cryptocurrencies because this will be a system where there will be no cash. But again, we're not going to be using Bitcoin. I think their plan is to have us use one of their coins that they're creating. And already we understand that they have coins waiting in the wings. Now, we see that things are really falling apart and it's starting to look bad for the Cabal. The Department of Justice now is taking a fresh look into, again, the Hillary Clinton email matter. They're looking into the Clinton Foundation. They're looking into the Uranium One deal. We see that Fusion GPS has to hand over bank records. And what we're seeing right now is that all of this is starting to come up all at once, and there's major investigations going on right now. Now, on January 15th, the Department of Justice Internal Watchdog, the Office of the Inspector General, is expected to present their findings to congressional investigators regarding a wide variety of alleged bias and malfeasance by the FBI. The Clinton campaign and the Obama administration, both during and after the 2016 election. Moreover, the man heading up the OIG investigation is Michael Horowitz, fought the Obama administration to regain investigative powers, which were restricted by Attorney General Eric Holder during the Fast and Furious scandal. And this report is going to be coming out, and what they're saying is once this report comes out, they think there's going to be a special counsel that's going to be appointed. And the special counsel is going to look into many different things. What had happened with James Comey, Loretta Lynch, Eric Holder, Obama, Clinton Foundations, the Uranium One deal, Fusion GPS, and we can see that more and more of this truth is coming out. More of the investigations are moving forward, and the Cabal right now is backed against a wall. And as more and more of this information comes out, the more and more the Cabal is going to be desperate into doing something. And we already see right now that they're still pushing the idea that Russia is an evil entity, because they just released videos which shows 2 intercepts of Russian fighters on November 23rd and December 13th that occurred in the international airspace above the Baltic Sea. And remember, there was also drills going on at that time, and they're trying to make this a very big deal. Now, they've done this before. We've seen this before where they release these videos, but they don't give you the backstory. Now, the backstory to this is that the NATO F-15 jets had approached the Su-30 fighter jets in 2 separate incidents on November 23rd and December 13th near the Baltics. Now, the route of the Russian fighter jets was agreed with the air logistic control units and was carried out in strict compliance with the international rules. In both instances, the F-15 fighters approached at safe distance, after which they changed course and flew away. Now, of course, they want everyone to believe that, oh my God, look, the 2 jets came very close to each other. This is Russia provoking and trying to start something. And that's not what's happening here. We've proved this time and time again, but this is what the Cabal, the corporate media, NATO, this is what they want you to believe. Just like with North Korea, they're trying to make you believe that Kim Jong-un was going to fire his missiles. These missiles, with nuclear warheads on top of them, were able to reach the United States, which we know is completely fake, phony, and false, because we know they break apart before they even hit their target, and they've only flown as far as Japan. And they can't even keep their missiles intact. So we know that this is an impossibility right now, but they're trying to build this up. And we know behind the scenes, there are talks for peace. This is why there's no drills happening during the Olympics. This is not what the Cabal wants. This is why we see the South talking to the North. This is why Tillerson basically came out and said, hey, it would be great if both sides can speak, and we're having talks in the background. And this was feelers to see how everyone would react to this. And we see right now that this plan is moving forward. Actually, Trump is out there saying, listen, he's willing to talk to Kim Jong-un as long as he meets certain conditions. Now, again, this is the part where everyone's going to take this and, say, oh, see, there's conditions. No. What they're doing, they're introducing this very, very slowly. And you can see right now that Kim Jong-un is in a comfortable position. Russia and China is backing this. The United States is now being pulled into this, and it's showing like, okay, look, they made their first step. South Korea did phase 1. They said, we would like to speak to North Korea. We would like to have no drills during this period of time during the Olympics. The United States said, okay, we will do this. The hotlines were opened. They had an initial conversation. They're going to be talking on the 9th. And now we see China and Russia extending the invitation to the United States. So you can see how this is all being played out. Now, Trump is already saying, yes, we are willing to speak. Even though he talked about, our nukes are bigger than yours. This was all words for the corporate media to make them believe that we had this strong stance that we would go to war in a minute. Because this is what the neocons, the Cabal, this is what they love. And now it's falling apart. We also see out in Libya, the Libyan parliament speaker, well, it looks like they're inviting Russia in to have peace talks. Russia is going to be working in reconciliation. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov was among the first backers of the need to amend the political agreement. And he's in there, and he's going to be making deals to calm the entire situation down in Libya and probably establish a new government, have elections, and most likely that UN-backed government, which their time is up, will be thrown out of there. We see in Iran that whole protest that was completely made up by the U.S., where they said people were protesting for freedom and democracy. No, they're protesting because of their economic situation, where there were certain austerity measures, and introduced into this were agent provocateurs, where they were rioting in the streets, where they were mixed in with the protesters. Well, Rouhani spoke to the protesters. The protesters said, okay, we understand what's happening here. We're going home. But the rioters kept on going ahead with this. Now, the Iran's Revolutionary Guard went out to capture these rioters, and what they've done is they shut it all down. And we can see right now, Iran's Revolutionary Guard has announced that the government forces have broken down the chain of unrest, which was not their own people. This was foreign individuals that were brought into the country. And we see already that this whole protesting, it's said and done, it's all over with. It's done. Even though the United States, the corporate media, and everyone else was out there saying that this is a fight for freedom, which it never was. We see the Free Syrian Army commanders, they're visiting Washington. Now remember, funding has been completely stopped. There's no more support for the Free Syrian Army. There's no more support for the Kurdish army. There's no more support out there whatsoever. There's no funds going out there. The Free Syrian Army is in Washington meeting with certain U.S. officials. Who are these officials? What are they talking about? What are they planning? Now, there is a report out there saying that the U.S. is going to recognize the Kurdish area in Syria, which is 3 times the size of Lebanon. Now, this sounds like propaganda to me, because once again, Syria is a sovereign country. It's funny, the U.S. will recognize the Kurdish area, but will not recognize the Catalonia area in Spain. It's very interesting how this is being played here. And once again, Syria is a sovereign nation. The United States has no rights to be in Syria. The United States has no right to even set up bases or be there supporting the Kurdish people. They were not invited into the country. So we're going to have to see how that plays out. But this was part of the Cabal's plan. It was to split up the Middle East, Kurdish area, Shiite area, Sunni area, Alawite area. And it looks like they're still trying to push this goal, and they're still putting stories out about this. But we'll have to see how this all plays out. We see the CDC is out there. This is the Centers of Disease and Control and Prevention. And they announced that they will conduct a briefing on January 16th concerning the public health response to a nuclear detonation. Now, they introduced this during the Christmas break on December 27th, so there'd be no mass hysteria or anything like that, since they've been planning for this nuclear detonation, and they're saying it's coming from North Korea because they do have the ability to reach the United States and explode a nuclear device on American soil. Now, once again, we know this is fake, phony, and false. The Cabal would love to have war, and this is part of their plan. They want something to happen. Now, it is a possibility, and if war does break out, this is coming from those people who want war, who have been tricking us all along with false flags and everything else. If there is a dirty nuke or any type of an explosion here in the United States or in Europe, it is from these individuals. It is not from North Korea. It's not from Russia. It's not from China. It's these individuals who want to bring the United States to war to distract everyone from what's really going on. And yes, they would go that far. Look what they did during 9/11 to distract everyone from what was really going on in this country. To bring us where? To war, because they needed to go into Libya, Lebanon, Afghanistan, Sudan, Somalia, Syria, and Iran. Now, and part of it was there was about $2 trillion missing from the Pentagon, and this came out on the 10th of September. And on the 11th, all of a sudden, the World Trade Center came down. And again, there were other reasons why this happened, but that was one of them. Think about all the reasons that are happening right now. The investigations that are going on with everything that they've done in the past. Follow the money trail, follow everything. It's all going to come out. They're losing their grip on the Middle East. And again, these people aren't going to stand trial. So what are they going to do? They need a distraction bigger than anyone has ever seen. They tried it in Iran with regime change. It didn't work. They tried North Korea. It's not working. Ukraine, Syria, I don't think they're going to get anything off the ground. I think they're going to have to resort to the event of all events. And this is why we see all this coming out right now. I think they're going to become so desperate that this is the only path they're going to be able to take unless they can figure out something else. But you can see right now the walls are closing in around them and there's not much they can do. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.